Guys, I have some breaking news. Jon Jones is out of his fight against Stipe Miocic at UFC 295, canceling the super fight, or at the very least delaying it. And now we have an interim title fight that takes its place. It's Sergei Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall. You know, I'm happy that Aspinall and Pavlovich is happening, but it's tragic to me that we lost the Stipe Miocic and Jon Jones super fight. Now, the reason that fight is off, if you guys don't know, is because Jon Jones tore his pec in training. I believe it was last night. I actually have the video that I'm going to play for you guys so we can watch it happen here on screen. Let me play this thing. So we can see Jones working with, I believe, Don'Tale Mayes, and you can look at his right arm, and that's where his pec seems to have torn, or rather his left arm. His pec tore as he was shooting for a takedown on Don'Tale Mayes, and it seems like it separated the tendon from the bone, if I'm not mistaken, and it's going to require surgery that'll have him out for 8 months, which, completely eliminates the UFC's super fight plans. I'm happy that we still get a big fight between Aspinall and Pavlovich, but it's not the fight we wanted. See, you can see it right there. It popped out like as he got Mays down for a second. That's damn unfortunate, especially that it was literally weeks out from the fight, and now we don't get the matchup. So I'm obviously pretty upset about it. I'm going to go in depth talking about Aspinall versus Pavlovich as well. And then I want to kind of talk about what I think will happen with the Jones and Stipe Miocic situation, talk about the implications, and just give a, honest, hard take on it. So make sure you guys smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. First, let's talk Stipe versus Jon Jones being at the very least delayed, but quite possibly never to happen. Having a pectoral tear is something athletes can recover from, but it's definitely a long process. And I mean, it's not going to come back 100% the same. And if we're looking at 8 months out for Jon Jones, I feel like that's like 8 months minimum, not 8 months maximum. How's the tendon strength going to be after 8 months? Is he going to want to jump into the cage in 8 months with Stipe Miocic? Or is it out for 8 months and then 4-month training camp to get back into shape and fight Stipe? This is a worry for me. So now the heavyweight champion of the UFC, Jon Jones, is on the shelf, minimum 8 months. But let's be realistic. It could be more like 12 months. Stipe Miocic was then offered the interim title fight against Sergei Pavlovich. How do I feel about him saying no? Good on him. Good on him. A lot of people I've seen through Twitter are shitting on Stipe. You haven't fought in years, and now you're going to duck Pavlovich, yada, 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 do. Stipe Miocic is an all-time great UFC heavyweight who's 1-1 against the scariest heavyweight ever in Francis Ngannou, and I don't think it would make much sense for him to take a fight against Sergei Pavlovich, which is guaranteed to pay him less if you're looking at pay-per-view points. I guess nonetheless, he wouldn't be getting pay-per-view points unless there's a certain deal in play because he's not the champion, so I guess maybe it'd be the same pay against Pavlovich, but then you don't have the Jon Jones fight there anymore, because I'll be realistic with you guys. I think Sergei Pavlovich is a horrible stylistic matchup for Stipe Miocic, who hasn't fought since 2021. Now, the side of Jon Jones taking a little break, he's going to be out again. And this is not an optimal situation because Jon Jones has been extremely inactive. I mean, dating back to 2020, he's now fought just 2 times, right? He was off for 3 years. He came back. He tapped out Ciryl Gane in 2 minutes. He has 2 minutes of cage time in years. And now he's not going to fight for maybe another 8 to 12 months. Granted, the Stipe Miocic fight is the one that's still going to be sitting there. Stipe's 41, guys. Stipe's 41, and he hasn't fought since 2021, where he was knocked out against Francis Ngannou. So this matchup between Stipe and Jon Jones, which I'm glad they're going to rebook it as far as a fan of this fight. But as far as the actual division goes, yeah, I could understand why people would be upset, because we have an interim belt that's going to be on the line at this UFC 295 fight card, but we're going to then have an interim champ waiting in the wings for the winner of Stipe and Jones. let's be realistic, guys. There is a legitimate chance that Stipe and Jones ends with a double retirement and the interim champion of the world becomes the lineal world champion, being promoted to champ status because Stipe and Jones, or rather the winner of Stipe Jones, maybe both of them, doesn't plan to fight again. Now, another thing I want to note, something I haven't said yet. A lot of people I've seen jump to the steroids, right? Oh, Jon Jones was on the roids. That's why he tore his pec. You can increase the likelihood of a pec tear being on shit. Fair. You look at a lot of these strong dudes that power lift. At times, they're pushing crazy weight and they are tearing pecs. But do I think that it caused it? I think we're going purely speculation. So is it now Jon Jones is definitely juicing 100%? Well, I'll say this. Without USADA around, if he is to juice, his recovery back into the cage is going to be a lot smoother than it would have been with USADA. So I guess timeline-wise, it happening now, not, when he was fighting Cyril Gane, is better for his return. As I'm assuming he's going to be able to use different peptides that were once deemed illegal by USADA, but probably will be pushed under the rug with the new drug testing, which is good for fighter recovery. Is he on shit for sure? Like he was at one point taking T-ball. He had small amounts of it in the system, right? He, failed for, I don't know, was it clomiphene? I forget. Clomid, something like that, years back, which they say is a masking agent for steroids. So now is he definitely on roids and he tears his pec because it can potentially weaken tendons, also just due to the strength increases? Like we're going at, a maybe. But maybe not. Maybe it was just an unfortunate situation and he shot a really hard takedown in training with, a big dude in Don'Tale Mayes and he ripped his pec up. And unfortunately now, we don't get the fight at 295. So the mega card, the 30th anniversary card, that was UFC 295. Now we don't have the heavyweight championship on the line. So instead, we have the interim belt on the line, which is not the same. I'll say this. I am predicting that Stipe and Jones fight in 2024. I'm expecting it in the third or fourth quarter of 2024. I think Jones is going to be out for a while, nursing the injuries. I don't blame Stipe for not fighting Aspinall or Pavlovich because realistically, they're bad matchups. They're young, hungry heavyweights on the come up. Stipe hasn't fought for a long time. And to go out there and get knocked out by them kills your chance of ever fighting Jon Jones. I'd rather him sit on the sidelines and say, I'm waiting for the Jones fight. And the UFC will book that super fight 100% because what Stipe has done as far as his career, I think he can get a Jon Jones fight still. But at the time it happens, is Stipe going to be 42? Is Stipe going to be really in those MMA golden years? Jon Jones 36. He's going to be back in the cage at 37. So time's definitely ticking, but I do think we see them face off. I do want to jump now to the new fight, the new co-main event now, because Yuri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira for the vacant light heavyweight title is pushed into the main event slate. And now we have the co-main event, Tom Aspinall, Sergei Pavlovich, interim belt on the line. Is it a glorified number one contenders fight, though? Let's be real here. Is it a glorified number one contenders? We'll put the belt on it. It'll sell more pay-per-views. And then by the time we unify the belts, it's a lock that will have dual champ or, two champs fighting each other, I should say. Or is it also the winner of this fight is going to be the champion of the world because Jones and or Stipe is probably going to retire after they eventually face off with one another. That's kind of what I'm feeling. I'm thinking that's a possibility. But let's talk Aspinall and Pavlovich because regardless of the Jones and Stipe fight not happening and it doing some damage to the card, you could say, this heavyweight matchup is special to me because it is the new breed of heavyweights facing off with one another. And I feel like we couldn't have asked for a better replacement fight. I think that Aspinall Pavlovich is better than if we would have saw Pavlovich Stipe or Aspinall versus Stipe, simply for the fact is I think those fights, it's not competitive for Stipe. I think Stipe would get fucked up. I think definitely Pavlovich gives him hell, but I think Aspinall too, because Stipe, I believe, is past his best years. But hey, maybe I'm wrong, and he goes out there and wipes the floor with Jon Jones and beats the winner of this fight. Time will tell. But let's talk this matchup, because this is what's happening on November 11th at UFC 295 in the co-main event. It's an awesome heavyweight fight, which I think is going to showcase the new generation. Neither of these guys are older than 31. Pavlovich 31, Aspinall 30. That's like 26 for heavyweight. These guys are young for the heavyweight division. There's years and years and years left. We have 18-1 Sergei Pavlovich, 13-3 Tom Aspinall. Listen, I think Pavlovich is the boogeyman. His boxing is scary. His knockout power is incredible. He rips beautiful straight punches. He swarms his opponents, and I believe that his takedown defense is very solid, and many people judge him from his first fight in the UFC with Alistair Overeem, where he was destroyed in that fight, but he was coming off of being out of the drug testing pool because they weren't testing him in Russia, and then when he came stateside, he got off all this shit, and it took his body some years to recover from not having, optimal levels of testosterone from using steroids. But you come back from it, and he did come back from it. Sergei Pavlovich now has come into his frame beautifully. He's 31. I think his power is unreal. Tom Aspinall is a very athletic heavyweight, a special grappler on the floor, and does have dangerous stand-up. But I think he's hittable. That chin comes up in the air a bit as he closes distance, and I think Pavlovich's wrestling defense is going to be on point. I feel as though Sergei Pavlovich is the new breed heavyweight champ. We got a Russian champ coming in. Interim belt, sure, but I think Pavlovich is knocking Aspinall unconscious. Listen, I know Tom Aspinall looks really great, and the way he destroyed Volkov was badass. I'm not forgetting about the Blades fight where he got injured, but let's be real. It was an injury fluke. We don't know how that would have played out. He ran through Tybura, but Tybura is levels below Sergei Pavlovich. So Aspinall coming off of a tune-up fight, and then before that, an injury. His last big win as far as top-ranked fighters goes is his key lock straight armbar win over Alexander Volkov, right? Beating him in the first round in impressive fashion a year and 7 months ago. That's pretty badass. Pavlovich is terrifying, though. You look at his knockout streak. Curtis Blades, who is a really solid fighter, and I think it's slept on a lot. Tai Tuivasa, who's a great brawler, he got crushed. Derek Lewis, who, at one point was the knockout king, he got crushed. And then obviously he knocked out Shamil Abdurahimov a year and 7 months ago. And then before that, Maurice Green like 4 years ago, way, way, way back. The activity rate, though, of, Tom Aspinall, after being out for a year and then coming back pretty fast to take on Marcin Tybura, I think that was like a good tune-up, right? It was a good tune-up fight. But in all actuality, that is not a good preparation fight for Sergei Pavlovich. We don't know how Aspinall is going to fare with a guy that has takedown defense and insane power and the terrifying Russian mentality. I've felt as though Sergei Pavlovich was the future champ for a while. I believed in Pavlovich even dating back to like when he fought Alistair. I was like, damn, Alistair beat him. I remember being young and being kind of surprised at the fact Alistair ran through an undefeated Russian. And now Pavlovich has emerged into this monster. And I think people are really overzealous to pick Tom Aspinall because he's England's first big shot at a heavyweight champ. But he's fighting a Russian killer. 6'3" to 6'5", but look at the reach. 6-inch reach advantage for Sergei Pavlovich. He has a wrestling base. Let's not judge him for the Alistair Overeem fight. Oh, he can't defend takedowns. Bullshit. Sergei Pavlovich is going to rip Tom Aspinall apart, and he's going to knock him out. It's going to be a sick KO. He's going to become the interim champion of the world. Not to say they don't fight again. Not to say Tom Aspinall isn't championship material. I think Aspinall is really good. To me, he seems beatable. I look at the stand-up and I look at the matchup, and I think Sergei Pavlovich is the nightmare for Tom Aspinall, and I'm thinking he knocks him out in the first round and becomes the heavyweight champion of the world. Now, looking at the betting odds for this fight, I got the underdog, Pavlovich, plus 116 underdog, Aspinall minus 136 favorite. I'm going Pavlovich by KO. I think his knockout power is a different level. I think his boxing's a different level. I think Aspinall is real good, but I just think stylistically, Pavlovich stops his takedowns and outstrikes him. His hands are going to be on fire in this fight. And I think he's rocking Tom Aspinall and putting his lights out. 18-1 Russian. Come on, guys. Don't be swayed. I know the hype is real on Aspinall. And think of this, too. Pavlovich was the backup fighter. Aspinall's taking this on short notice. He's got 2.5 weeks to get ready for a championship fight. 5-round booking. Sergei Pavlovich, nightmare opponent. This is the hardest fight for Tom Aspinall you could ever imagine. On short notice, if I'm Aspinall, I'd much rather fight Stipe. A 41-year-old Stipe, I know my speed's the difference maker. Even with Jon Jones, you can say Aspinall's big, he's strong, he hits harder. Sergei Pavlovich is the harder puncher, he's got the wrestling base, and he's the better boxer. And I think that leads him to a win. So I'm going Sergei Pavlovich. I'm going with the Russian Nightmare as the new heavyweight interim champion. And then potentially a Jon Jones Pavlovich fight if Jones was to beat Stipe. I love, but there's a real possibility that Jon Jones and Stipe retire after their fight in 2024, and then the belt is just now elevated to lineal champ status for Sergei Pavlovich. But I see him as the heavyweight champ. I see him beating Tom Aspinall. Dream scenario, Pavlovich, Jon Jones, and that could be like the Jon Jones final send-off fight after he beats Stipe. But who knows? What happens if Stipe then, I'm fucking knock on wood. But what if Stipe got injured? Jon was supposed to fight him, and then we got Pavlovich. What are the odds Jon Jones is even back at 100%? What if he's never the same again? What if the body's taking too much damage, the wear and tear? I think he might be due for a knockout, and the Russian killer Pavlovich might be the one to put his lights out. I'm saying Pavlovich and new interim champ, he beats Tom Aspinall. Looking at the card, is it ruined? Is the card ruined? No, it's not ruined because Sergei Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall is one of the most interesting heavyweight fights in years. The legacy status of Jones and Stipe is bigger than Aspinall Pavlovich, but the actual intricate matchup and how I'm looking at it and the fact that we got two young heavyweight killers clashing, this is the fight for me. Pavlovich Aspinall. I wish we had both on the card. That would be amazing. True number one contender fight in the featured bout. And then we have Jon Jones, Stipe in the main. And then obviously Prochazka and Pereira in the in-between as co-main. Now Prochazka Pereira's main for the vacant light heavyweight belt. I'm picking Pavlovich, guys. I think he can do it. Looking at the card, this is the main card. Matt Frevola, Benoit Saint-Denis. I like the fight. Pat Sabatini, Diego Lopez. It's a great scrap. Jessica Andrade, Mackenzie Dern. Interesting ladies matchup. Pavlovich Aspinall. Amazing. Prochazka Pereira. Amazing. The pay-per-view card is actually pretty solid. I think we got guaranteed action. I don't think the card's ruined. Yeah, we lose the cherry on top, which is the Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic super fight, but we trade it for arguably a better heavyweight stylistic matchup between two young killers on the come up, and I think the winner is, the future of the weight class, really. So give me Pavlovich win, now an upset, as of right now at least. I could see him leaning into favorite status. And that's what we're looking at for UFC 295. It's the day before my birthday, too. So I'm pretty damn excited for that card. Even without the Jon Jones and Stipe main event, Prochazka Pereira is a treat. And Aspinall Pavlovich is amazing. So no, the card is not ruined. I don't think so. I think we still got a great card. Guys, I hope you enjoyed my reaction to it. I was excited to do this reaction video. You guys know I've been saying I want to drop more news. I want to drop more reaction. So definitely smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. And turn the post notifications on. Turn them on all, not just personalized, so you don't miss a video. And if you really enjoy the news reaction content, you got to let me know in the comments. Drop a W in the chat. Boost the algorithm for your boy. Tell me you like these news reactions because I'm making them a new thing on the channel. I mean, it's not super new. I've been doing them a bit recently, but I'm trying to stay more and more consistent with it. I am staying more and more consistent with it. So keep your eyes peeled. Daily content coming on the channel. I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow, which is Thursday. If you're watching it, it's what? October 25th at time of recording, October 26th. I got a late night live stream, so make sure you guys don't miss it. Daily content don't stop, so keep it right here at the MMA Experts channel. Much love, my people. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.